Leading with Lean, Chapter 5, Building the Transformation Model. Why we need a transformation model. The transformation of your organisation into a lean thinking and operationally excellent enterprise is a long journey and will require the involvement of every single employee and the maintenance of the change programme on an ongoing basis. In Chapter 3, I discuss Kotter's change leadership model and the steps that are required to successfully deliver our lean transformation, and throughout the transformation, it is important to ensure that the organisation is sustaining its change enablers, which can be summarised with the initials VCRSP. Vision. The leadership must maintain a consistent vision through the change, ensuring that the organisation is focused on its end state and has a North Star upon which to focus. Commitment. In the first instance, the senior leadership must be fully committed to the transformation and, over time, this must permeate the whole organisation. Resources. The appropriate level of resources, people and funding must be available to support the transformation and must be maintained at the right level for the duration of the change. Skills. While we need sufficient people, they must also have the right skill set to be able to support the transformation. These resources, as covered in the previous chapter, must be hired or developed in a thorough manner. Plan. For excellent execution of the transformation, a thoroughly prepared and detailed plan must be created and managed throughout the transformation. VCRSP. Vision, commitment, resources, skills, and plan. During the transformation, the organisation will move from the initially small scope of establishing the case for change and establishing the pilot through to a state whereby the whole organisation is transforming, and the scope is one which cannot possibly be overseen by one person. For many lean transformations, this transition from relatively small scale to large scale whole organisation deployment is the moment of failure, as the replication and rigour of the initial approach is inevitably lost. For some smaller organisations, this may not be an issue, as the scale is insufficient to disrupt the deployment. However, for most organisations, particularly multi-location and multi-country ones, it is a common cause of failure. Additionally, in the initial stages of a lean transformation, the enthusiasm and high level of management attention will compensate for any gaps in the deployment approach. Nevertheless, this will not be infinite, and after a short time, often when the initial victory of the pilot has been declared, focus will wane, and any gaps in the deployment methodology will begin to impact the efficacy of the transformation. To avoid the scalability limitations and management attention loss, along with ensuring that the change leadership approach is built into the deployment, a lean transformation model is required to guide us through our lean journey. It is, in effect, the change blueprint for our organisation, keeping us to plan whenever we start to drift off course, whatever the cause may be, and will ensure that we maintain the VCRSP conditions that are essential to our long-term success. This subject is covered in more detail in Chapter 15. Build it with excellence in mind. You intend to create excellence in your organisation through the deployment of the lean transformation model, and it should therefore be designed and built to be excellent. I will provide some guidance on how to build this model, but to populate its content and to learn how to deploy lean thinking effectively, you must go to Gemba. Finding those companies that have done it well and learn from them. Toyota is, of course, the exemplary model, but there are also a notable few who have achieved or are on the road to excellence, such as Honeywell, Danaher, Virginia Mason, Porsche, and Uniport, amongst others. As I discussed in Chapter 4, you may also wish to engage with a consultancy who can help you to develop both your approach and the people in your organisation who will enable it. However, the consultancy must teach and coach your lean experts in how to do this, not do it for them, and therefore searching for that true partner who can support the development of your organisation is critical if you don't have sufficient lean experts in your organisation already. The lean deployment model that you build must take into account the best knowledge available out there, and you should not be reticent in the opportunity to proudly steal those best practices, whilst being inquisitive enough to ensure that you fully understand what your role model companies really did. Taking into account that only a few of the people that you speak with will be consciously competent, with the majority not necessarily knowing what they know. You must therefore be careful that you can differentiate between a true understanding of what worked and a retrospective rationalisation. The model must manage a certain dichotomy in that it needs to have a rigidity in its approach that will lead you through with the stamina and consistency that are fundamental to success. However, it must be sufficiently agile to deliver transformation in the different functional and business areas of the organisation and across geographical and cultural boundaries without the lean leaders losing their fidelity to the model. This is a challenging paradox, but with a model that focuses on the people development and lean thinking requirements while allowing freedom to select the tools, it is possible. The viral model. Viral is the acronym that I have used for a best practice approach to lean transformation that I have developed. Viral covers the 5 stages of deployment that are needed to truly embed lean thinking into an organisation. Vision, impact, replication, amplification, and legacy. Viral. Change leadership is embedded into the approach, which combines the development of people and overall organisational capability in parallel. It is intended to provide a robust and sustainable model for transformation and is similar in thinking to models used by a number of world-class organisations. Whilst the model isn't rigidly sequential, therefore allowing for the utilisation of tools and techniques from later stages as required by the business, it does require that all elements of a stage are completely fulfilled before the organisation can be released from that stage. This establishes a maturity measurement and avoids the model being used in a pick and mix manner. Nevertheless, finishing a stage must never be a business target in itself. Instead, it should simply be the outcome of doing the right things for the business. Therefore, we plan to exit each stage in a particular time frame, but where this doesn't occur, we problem solve as to the why rather than project managing an exit. The model can operate at multiple levels in an organisation dependent upon its size. For example, in a single site organisation, it will be used at just one level, as the whole business can be managed within the single framework. However, at the scale of a global organisation, we would have multiple levels, as the deployment model would need to be executed for the overall organisation at the next level for each of the core processes of idea to market, market to order, and order to cash, and also for each of the enabling functions such as IT, HR, finance, and so on. Within each of these areas, there would be a third level of deployment at the individual location, such as a manufacturing site, innovation centre, or a sales organisation in a market. Stage 1, vision. In this first stage, the readiness of the organisation for change is established and the leadership are trained in the basics of lean thinking. This is when the leadership team brings together the key stakeholders to establish the case for change, as described in Chapter 3, and the communication plan is established and initiated. The model value stream will have been selected and agreed, with Holt and Canry, that's in Chapter 6, sometimes called policy deployment, being introduced to ensure that the execution of the strategy is effective and that the breakthrough activities are planned, resourced, and aligned across the business. This is a relatively short stage, but is critical to ensuring that everyone is committed to the transformation and the concept of lean thinking, and that they all believe that this approach is the one that will best attain their collective vision. Before stage 1 is finished, the following would be required. First, the case for change agreed and the future state vision set with ambitious targets. Secondly, stakeholder analysis and communication plan in place. Thirdly, lean transformation plan agreed. Number 4, model value stream selected and ambitious targets to improve agreed. Number 5, Holt and Canry developed and deployment started. Number 6, lean champion for the deployment area recruited. And finally, leadership for the deployment area trained in the basics of lean thinking and the transformation model. Stage 2, impact. As described in Chapter 3, the establishment of some quick wins is critical to the engagement of all employees, but in particular, the leadership. Trying to deploy lean thinking across the whole enterprise, assuming an organisation larger than a few dozen people, is a little like trying to boil an ocean. You put a lot of energy into it with very little to show for it. This stage is therefore designed to achieve 2 objectives. Firstly, achieve significant results in a relatively short period of time, with the aim to show a big change within 3 months and sustainable, significant results in 6 to 9 months. Secondly, allow a lot of learning about what works and what doesn't work in a small enough part of the value stream so that we can modify our approach before scaling. In this stage, a model value stream of average complexity and large enough to be meaningful is selected, and lean thinking is thoroughly deployed. In essence, we want to see this value stream transformed in the context of Womack and Jones's 5 steps of lean thinking. We wish to establish value for the customer, make the value stream visible, create flow so that the customer can pull the value, and then we can continue to strive for perfection. This will entail establishing the fundamental lean elements of daily management, leader standard work, standardized work, problem solving, Kaizen, 5S, value stream mapping, and implementing the lean toolkit as necessary for that particular value stream. Concurrently, the development of the people in the value stream will be undertaken, creating lean practitioners who, at the end of the stage, will be capable of striving for perfection. The model value stream becomes our own vision of excellence and proof that lean thinking can be applied with a high, positive business impact in our organisation just as well as it can in others, making this a great way of silencing those who claim that we are not Toyota or use other similar statements of resistance to change. To achieve this, one of the first things that we do is to take a few key people, normally the leadership of the area where the model value stream will be, on what we call a kaikaku experience. See Chapter 10. A visit usually to external parties who can act as a vision of excellence for the team, enabling them to visualise the type of environment and culture that they can create. This is intended to inspire the team and to provide them with the confidence that the transformation is viable. This visit is not industrial tourism and is managed in such a way as to maximise the learning. The group who attends is obliged to communicate and share their learning to the wider team. Dependent upon the scale of the organisation, a number of model value streams could be running, with the caveat that the lean expertise to support them must be in place and that overstretching at this stage risks failure. One key lesson for the leadership at this stage will be the level of leadership activism, see Chapter 7, that is required. I often joke at the end of stage 1 that the leadership team have voted for Christmas, but by the end of stage 2 they have realised that they are the turkeys. Joking aside, this will be a critical time for the deployment as the leadership team and the line managers will come under pressure from the change as they and the organisation go through the change curve. The middle management are under particular pressure as they realise that the type of interventional problem solving they built their career upon is no longer necessary and is in fact counterproductive to lean thinking. The lean experts need to place particular attention on coaching this cohort, as they can move into detractor mode if they are not supported in changing their way of leadership into one of a coach and not a director of people. Hi, Philip here. Sorry to interrupt the narration of this particular chapter, but I just wanted to remind you that all of my personal profits from the books go to charity. So if you would like to buy a book, it would really be helpful. Otherwise, if you feel that the podcast is sufficient, then please feel free to make a donation to my current charity, which is Women's Aid. It's a great charity which helps to stop domestic violence for women and children. Thank you. At the end of this stage, the model value stream will be testimony to what lean thinking can achieve in your organisation. You will no longer need to show colleagues what others have done, and instead you will be able to demonstrate that lean thinking also works for your enterprise, with colleagues who can testify to that. In fact, it is likely that those colleagues who now work in the model value stream will be the best advertisement for the lean transformation, and the pull from others to be the next one will be massive. This creates a great deal of opportunity, but also risk, as scaling too quickly can overstress the programme. Before leaving stage 2 behind, the following would be required. First, the lean fundamentals are in place and at a mature level. Secondly, the ambitious improvement targets of the model value stream have been achieved. Number 3, all model value streams team members are certified at the lean foundation level and the appropriate number at the advanced level, around 10%. The value stream has been visualised in its current state and the future state vision defined is the 4th element. And then the final element is that the initial future state has been achieved and the next iteration is planned. Whilst the aim is to have significant results in 6 to 9 months, it is common for the maturity of the lean fundamentals and certification of people to take a little longer, as the people-based changes typically take longer than the tool-based changes. Nevertheless, by this point you will see such a high degree of motivation that the lean experts are no longer encouraging people to engage or speed up, but are struggling to keep up as the team members move at pace. Stage 3, replication. In the third stage of the viral model, we replicate our learning across the rest of the organisation. This is by far the longest of the stages, as it will essentially entail replicating what has been done in only a few model value streams across multiple areas. It is critical that during stage 2 we have built sufficient capacity and capability in terms of lean champions to support the deployment, and if we've done a good enough job of developing our people in the model value stream, some of this will be used in the replication areas. Getting the replication plan right is critical, and we must adhere to 3 key rules when doing so. First rule is prioritise based upon business need. Linked to your horseshoe, we have finite resources and must get the biggest impact for our resource investment. The second element is to accept that team members in areas not currently under deployment will start to adopt the new ways of working. Don't be distracted by this and don't deploy resources there. It's great that they want to do it, and by all means let them learn, but don't lose focus. And then third, we cannot just cut and paste into the next deployment areas. There will be solutions that can be replicated, but the new ways of working need to be adopted through the change process, just as in the model value streams. It will go quicker than in the model areas, but slower than a top-down, expert-led approach. However, it's the only way to ensure sustainability. For a large organisation, the replication will take multiple years, but the results will start to come through from an early stage. This is where the deployment model really starts to prevent entropy, as it instills discipline and prevents victory from being declared too soon and rigour lost. It's extremely important to re-emphasise that lean thinking is not simply for the manufacturing arena, and therefore in this stage the rollout must cover the whole enterprise, from new product development through to sales and after-sales support. At the end of this stage, all personnel, that is 100% of the employees at all levels of the organisation, must be certified as practitioners of lean at the foundation level. The advanced level certifications may still be progressing, but the structure for certification and the curriculum and plans must be in place and in the process of execution. So before leaving stage 3, the following must be in place. First one, the lean fundamentals are in place and at a mature level across all value streams. The second one, ambitious improvement targets have been achieved. The third one, 100% of team members are certified at the lean foundation level, and the appropriate number at the advanced, expert and master levels are either certified or following their certification plans. The fourth one is that the value streams have been visualised to current state and the future state visions defined. And then finally, the initial future states have been achieved and the next iterations are planned. Stage 4, amplification. As first the model value streams and later the replication sites come to the end of their stage 2 and stage 3 activities respectively, they will be running with an extremely high level of performance that is better than it has ever been. However, if we are to reach true world-class excellence, we need to break through and implement new approaches that change the way that we operate. Essentially, up to now, we've ensured that the design intent of our way of working has been met. We're operating with excellence as we had planned to do so. However, in the amplification stage, we need to change the design intent of our operating model. It could be, for example, that we had a promised delivery lead time of 10 days with an on-time in full commitment of 90-80%, but historically been delivering with a high degree of variation and hence an OTIF of less than 85%. In stages 2 and 3, we've solved that and are now consistently delivering to the 10-day commitment at 99.9% OTIF. However, in the amplification stage, not only have we decided to meet our commitment to the customer, but we've understood from them that an improvement to 2 days would make us their preferred supplier and drive sales. This becomes one of the breakthrough targets of our amplification stage. As mentioned at the beginning of this chapter, it's not the intent that this model is rigidly sequential, so stage 4 activities can legitimately be worked on while the value stream is still in stage 2 or 3. However, the model will hold the site to that stage until it can prove that it has embedded the foundations of excellence so that the stage 4 activities can be built upon avoiding their subsequent collapse. This also ensures that the amplification activities are not undertaken using the wrong type of thinking, as, in the example of lead time, by increasing inventory instead of reducing value stream lead time. To support this, lean accounting practices must be implemented to prevent standard cost accounting techniques causing conflict between the lean team and the accountants, due to waste reduction leading to lower inventories or lower overall equipment effectiveness, OEE, as a result of stopping production when there is no customer demand. At the end of this stage, all lean experts will be fully certified and lean thinking will be practiced at every level of the organisation. By this point, the lean certifications of your organisation should also be recognised externally by other organisations, and your people will be a sought-after resource for others. However, because of the opportunities within your organisation for these people, your attrition rate is still lower than it was before the start of the transformation, and those that do leave are ambassadors and unpaid recruiters for your organisation. Before stage 4 can be left behind, the following would be required. Firstly, breakthrough improvements have been made in the value streams. Secondly, the lean maturity of the organisation is such that it's simply the way that people work. Thirdly, 100% of team members are certified at the lean foundation level, and the appropriate number are fully certified at the advanced, expert and master levels. Fourthly, the future state vision value stream maps have been achieved in the next iteration deployed. Lean accounting practices ensure that the business decisions are made using lean thinking rather than a suboptimal focus. Stage 5, legacy. In the final stage, no new approaches, tools or techniques are implemented, but rather the sustainability of the deployment is confirmed. At the end of stage 4, each area of the business has truly been able to claim excellence in the way that they operate, and at this moment a number of your locations will have been recognised by external bodies. For example, the Philips Shaver Factory in the Netherlands and the Philips Avent Baby Products Factory in the UK both won industry-leading awards in the past 2 years before this book was written, as a direct result of their lean transformations. However, it is critical that we give the model time to fully mature, so in this final stage we're going to reinforce the systems in the business to ensure that we can confidently release it from deployment, with the knowledge that Hoshin-led breakthrough, continuous improvement and daily management are simply the modus operandi of the organisation. The lean masters and champions roles have changed by stage 5, as lean thinking is part of the DNA of the organisation, and the people who do the work are perfectly capable of the daily management activities, problem solving and Kaizen. Instead, the lean resources reduce in number as some of them rotate into new operational roles, while those remaining start to work on more strategic activities, supporting business expansions, new product introductions, mergers and acquisitions, and setting up centres of excellence. By this point, our whole organisation is staffed by lean experts, and simply put, we have ensured that the lean transformation has left a legacy of excellence in the organisation that will persist ad infinitum. Before leaving stage 5, the following would be required. Firstly, the vision of excellence has been renewed. Secondly, the results achieved in the previous 4 stages have been sustained, and continuous improvement and a Kaizen culture are delivering above average performance improvement. Continuous improvement is institutionalised as the third point, with a living Kaizen culture. And then the final point, the competence of employees is such that support is no longer required for daily management, problem solving and Kaizen activities. The management of the deployment. It must be obvious by now that the management of a lean transformation isn't easy. While the model will help to maintain consistency across the deployment, it also takes a lot of effort to educate the lean experts, manage the program and maintain support in this long-term approach. However, what I have not yet covered are the metrics for performance, which are the key element for maintaining the support of the leadership. There are 2 elements to these. 1, business results, and 2, lean maturity. In case of the business results, these must be directly linked to the business's Hoshin and made specific. For example, sales, EBITDA, inventory time to market, etc. for each part of the value stream. Additionally, people metrics such as employee engagement, retention, safety, Kaizen and competency will be included. Secondly, lean maturity. The behavioural and tool application elements of Lean will be measured through a maturity matrix using a proof point assessment of the area being assessed. This is usually a 5-point scale from low to high maturity per element, calibrated between the value stream leadership team and a Lean expert. Examples of these elements are items such as the policy deployment approach, training and coaching, load levelling, and the problem solving approach, amongst others. The intention of this is to ensure not only that the business results are achieved, but that they are done in a sustainable way. What you would see in the book now is a 2x2 matrix. On the x-axis, you have the what, the results, from bad at the left to good on the right. On the y-axis, you have the how, or the behaviour, with non-role model at the bottom and role model at the top. And then in the 4 quadrants, the bottom left is failure, where you have bad results with non-model behaviours. The top left is a false start, where you have role model behaviour but bad results. The bottom right is unsustainable, where you have good results but non-role model behaviour. And then in the top right corner, we have lean thinking, which is where we have role model behaviour and good results. Managing the deployment is a tough job, having to hold and maintain a belief in the vision of excellence many years down the road, whilst ensuring that the short-term wins that will maintain oxygen in the transformation are achieved. The lone violinist metaphor comes back at this point, as the lean leader will need to maintain fidelity to the transformation model despite the many challenges driven by anxiety and a desire for faster results. However, just as in the metaphor, the lean leader cannot simply play their tune and hope that the people stop to listen. They must maintain the communication, the connections with the sponsors of the programme, and ensure that there is an audience for their music. Sometimes they will have to let some battles go, keeping their eye on the overall war on waste in the organisation, accepting that some parts of the enterprise will move more slowly than others. Being the lean leader is not easy, but then that's why world class is only for the few.